Crazy Cross Stitch Lady. Welcome to my craft room. I am so happy that you have joined me today. I want to say a huge thank you to all the new subscribers. And if you have been with me for a while and you're one of my regulars, I really appreciate your being here very much. I appreciate it. And I'm so glad that you want to come visit with me in my craft room. So today I'm going to try a stitch along, and I haven't done a stitch along before. So we're going to try it today and see what you think about it. And just let me know, please be honest with me if this is not really your cup of tea and you're kind of like, yeah, I'd rather see your tutorials or just stick to your floss tubes or whatever. Just let me know that. If this is something that you did enjoy and you liked stitching with it, then let me know that too, so I know to make some more of these. But I would like some feedback. If you would give that to me in the comments, I would greatly appreciate that. I would really love it if you would hit that like button. And then if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you join our community. And so I hope that you have a wonderful stitchy day. Be creative, be blessed, and now let's stitch together. Hi there. So we're going to try this stitch along today, and I haven't done a stitch along before, so this will be a first for me. And so we're going to give it a try with this pattern I haven't worked on in quite a while. I've set my patterns aside, most of them, the projects I've been working on, just to work on some gifts that I'm trying to get finished. But I thought for the purposes of this that I would work on this pattern right here. This is called Kentucky, and it is by DM Cross Stitch. You can find them on Etsy, and I will put a link to their shop below. I don't know if they have other states. I think they do. I thought I saw maybe Florida or some other states, but this is what I'm working on. It's part of an homage, well, not really homage, that's not the right word, but just because I'm taking trips around the state and I'm trying to hit all 120 counties that we have, I decided to do this cross stitch to commemorate, that's the word I'm looking for, commemorate this trip that are these mini trips that I'm taking. So this is what it will look like in the end. And so this is what I have so far. So not too far along, but I decided that I would just pull some Aida from my stash, because I always have Aida in my stash. And I thought that would be appropriate for this type of project. And I pulled some DMC colors from my stash. So here are all the beautimous colors that I'll be using. So we're going to give this a try and see how it goes. We'll go for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes, depends on how much I start jabbering. But, you know, just to have yourself your favorite drink and pull up your comfy seat, whatever area you like to stitch in that's comfortable for you, and get your stitching out, and we'll just do some stitching together. So how's that? So let me zoom in here just a little bit. That way you can, if you glance up, you can see what's going on there. I am an English style stitcher, and what that means for those of you who are beginning, it means that I do one cross at a time, and I just like it that way. It's slower. In fact, I'm a pretty slow stitcher, so if you are a slow stitcher, that is just fine. Absolutely no need to apologize. So you can watch my slow stitching and work on your stuff too. So I hope you found one of your projects that you really enjoy. And so we're just gonna stitch for a little bit. I might back out just a little bit because I like to pick my stuff up so you'll be able to see it. And we'll get it situated somehow here. So I am stitching on a Monday. Today is Monday where I'm doing this. I am at home right now, of course, and I am going to go to a meeting tonight at 6. I'm on my church board. We are a DOC church, which is Disciples of Christ. Probably the most, I'd say, liberal denomination in Christianity. And that simply means, that everybody in Christianity, we're all about Jesus. So we all have that in common. But there are some other little things that might be different. And then you end up having, 5,000 denominations. And I'm not saying that to really poke fun, although it is good to laugh at yourself sometimes. But we do have a lot of denominations. And some of them are, they were created for just not really super major reasons, just some minor reasons. But here we are. So I've got a board meeting tonight, so I'll be going to that. And I have been just trying to get some decluttering done. If I can find the hole there. Oh, and by the way, this is 14 count Ada that I'm working on. I usually try to keep some 14 count in my stash all the time, just in case, just for things like this. So anyway, I've been just doing some work around the house, trying to get stuff decluttered. I've been doing lesson and unit planning and getting some things typed up for that. And apparently they have the district, or my school district, I'm a school teacher, they have uploaded these different videos. We are required to do so many trainings per year. And at the beginning of the year, we have several like safety videos. We have to do bloodborne pathogen training, which means we have to know how to properly clean up spills, or have the custodian clean up spills for us and know how to properly handle it. If we've got a kid gushing blood in the classroom, that's always a pleasant thought. Safety videos, harassment, anti-harassment videos, those kinds of workplace things that a lot of places have. And we used to get professional development credit for that because we have to have 24 hours of professional development each year. And if you don't have all of your hours, like if I neglected to get, let's say, 3 hours of PD done, then they dock my pay 3 hours. And even though I'm a salaried employee, it's still broken down by how much we get paid per hour for things like this. So I would just be docked 3 hours pay. None of us wants that. So it used to be that we could get PD credit for this, but the legislature changed that. So now we are simply required to do these trainings. We don't get credit for them. We have to get them done. I'm sure we'd be written up or something like that if we did not get those completed. So it seems like we have a lot more requirements, and we're being given, less money to do it, less time to do it, that kind of thing. But they put those out around this time, so they're on a platform on the computer that we use. And so we go in, and those are self-paced. We used to have to sit through them all together. So at least now we can do it whenever we're ready, and it's self-paced. So I usually try to get them done before school even starts or before we even have our opening day. That way I don't have to worry about it anymore. So there's that. So I'll have to do that here pretty soon, and probably not this week, but next week I'm going to have to start putting my classroom together because we have to break it down every year so that they can come in, clean the floors, wax, all that stuff. So I'll be putting my classroom together, and I'll probably do those trainings at that same time too, because after that, first part of August, school starts for us. And I think, let's see, Monday, I think, is August the 7th, I think. And we'll go back. Teachers and other staff will have their opening day. And then the kids come back 2 days later. So I usually like to have my classroom, everything done, because we'll be doing open house and that kind of thing. And this year, and I think our team is the only team like this. We are going to be a split level team. So I'll be teaching both 6th and 7th grade this year. So I'll have some of the students that I had last year, I'm sure. And I'm only teaching one subject though, so that's good. I'm teaching social studies. Now the content is slightly different at each grade level, But, you know, I've taught it before, so it won't be, you know, quite so, you know, horrendous. Last year I was teaching social studies and language arts, and I had a couple of seminar classes, and so I'll have one seminar class, but I already have my curriculum for that, so that's okay. So there's all that going on with work. It never ends. But that's okay. Retirement's coming pretty soon. Not as soon as I was hoping it would, because I got some retirement estimates. I thought, yeah, looks like I'm going to be working a little bit longer than I thought, but it will still be okay. And then after that, I will have lots of stitching time, which I'm looking forward to. I have dabbled with the idea of opening my own LNS. For those of you who are newer to Stitch World, that stands for Local Needlework Shop. We don't have one in my area. The closest one that we had for a long time was called The Finishing Touch, and it was located in Louisville, Louisville is one of our major cities in the state. Some of you may have heard it pronounced Louisville, which is what outsiders, quote, outsiders call it. That is not how you pronounce it, by the way. If you don't want to stand out, it is Louisville. We don't say Louisville, but anyway. Always interesting how locals do things a little differently than others. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so we had The Finishing Touch was an LNS that we had in Louisville. That was the closest one. I was able to go there once, and it was a pretty small shop, but those ladies did an excellent job with it. But then the owner sadly passed away not too long ago, and so they ended up closing the business. And now the closest one we have is actually in Eastern Kentucky. So it's about a 3-hour drive. Let's see, what town are they in? I have to think. It's Bluegrass Yarn and Cross Stitch, I think, is the shop. I've never been there. Greenup, that's where they are. They're in the town called Greenup. Greenup is way in Eastern Kentucky. So yeah, it's about a 3-hour drive, because our state is not a wide state, but it is very long. So it takes hours to drive across the state. So depending on what direction you're going. So I do plan on making that trip at some point, but I'm just not going to do it right now. But we really need one that is closer. I would love to have one that is closer. And so I thought about actually opening one myself. I'm not sure if I want to take on all that responsibility, but I was talking to the lady who coordinates our E-Town stitching group, and she really liked the idea too. And she had actually entertained the idea of opening one. And I said, well, maybe we may need to get 2 or 3 people to open the business and operate it together, so there's not so much on one person. She thought that was a good idea too. So that's something that's going to be a few years down the road, if I even do decide that I want to do it. So we'll see. I think it would be really good for us to have it. I don't know. I mean, I know we have several stitchers in the area, and I do know that there would be stitchers who'd be coming from outside the area, just because we have such a dearth of LNS, the LNS around here. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's something fun to think about. I think it'd be really neat. My husband tends to think I would do better just opening up an Etsy shop. That way I could do everything from home and not have to worry about a brick and mortar. Although the brick and mortar is what people like, because they want to touch things, see things, feel things, and I would love to have a brick and mortar around here. So I don't know. We'll see. Definitely something to think about. Something fun, at least, to ponder. let's see, what else has been going on? Oh, my geese. I need to tell you about my geese. Oh my goodness. Well, okay, so we had 2 geese, and I had done my research on this and found out that geese mate for life. Well, these 2 geese last few years, now this is I think our 4th year of being on this property. And the geese have come each year. Our lake is one of their homes. And we've just really enjoyed having them around. And there were a couple of times where there were a bunch of geese that came in. And then one time where it was the one pair of geese, and then there was another pair that had come in. Well, this summer, it was the same pair of geese, and I lovingly named them George and Matilda. And so they had some babies with them. And I thought that was just absolutely delightful that they had brought their babies with them. And so we got to watch them quite a bit. They were here for, oh geez, I don't know. Seemed like it was several weeks that they were here. And they would go down to the lake and they would waddle around. Okay, where's my highlighter? Gotta highlight my spot here. And they'd waddle around, and then they would come up pretty close to the house, actually. Which was really surprising to me that they would get that close, but I think they started to trust us. They wouldn't let us touch them or anything, but they got to where they were, you know, getting pretty close to the house. If we were driving down the driveway, we had to be careful because they, let's see, where did I get to? I'm trying to see where I got to. Okay. So we'd have to go really slowly because they wouldn't want to move, which I thought was pretty funny. I thought, well, you are very comfortable with us. Okay, let's see, 351. Find my 351. Oh, you know what? I've got these floss drops that I make, but I found, I'll show you because I've got it here on the table. This was on Amazon where you can make gift tags, and I've seen many making floss drops that look more like this, and they're a little bit smaller and easier to handle, and you can decide on the size. So I decided to make some 1-inch wide ones, and I've got one right here. And so what I had to do was I measured 1-inch strips, and then you slide your strip in there, and then it'll hole punch it to give you this top, and it'll give you a hole at the top, but there's no hole at the bottom. So I had to take my 5/8 of an inch hole punch, and then I punched the hole in the bottom. And so this is a little bit smaller, easier to handle, doesn't take up as much room, you know, when you put them in your bag. You've got these big old circles, so see the difference there. And you can, I still have it blank on the back, or I can write my number here. I don't laminate mine just because to me it's too hard to write the number on there. I guess you could do it with a Sharpie or something. I never have. So I just make more, and then I replace them if they rip. So if you want to make your floss drops, I have a video that talks about how to make a floss drop, and then you can use pretty much any kind of hole punch you want as long as you've got enough room to write your number and then put your floss on there. So just thought I'd throw that in. Now I don't remember what number I was looking for. Oh, 351. Okay, so let me find my 351. So the geese were here for a while, and I really had a lot of fun watching them. They would just waddle around all over the place and get their food, and the babies grew so fast. I mean, just grew so fast. if you're wondering what I'm doing here with this sponge, these are just regular sponges I got from the dollar store, and I cut them to fit this little, it's supposed to be like a salad dressing container. I got at Kroger. And then I cut the sponges. I just keep kind of cutting around the edges until they fit. And I put 3 in here simply because it puts this sponge up at the top where it's easier to get to. And so I just run my floss over this. Makes it a lot easier for railroading, where I don't necessarily have to split the thread to railroad it and make my stitches smooth. And it doesn't get wax all over the floss. So I don't use thread conditioner or beeswax or anything because I don't like that stuff on my floss. Now, a lot of people don't mind it. They use that stuff all the time. And again, that's where it's a you do you thing. If you've never used it, you may want to try it, see if you like it. I don't care for it. That's why I use the sponge. I just like it a lot better because it doesn't get stuff all over my thread, but it still smooths it out a little bit. Makes it a little easier to pull the thread through. Okay. So, one day, I think it was last week, I was, let's see, well, I was looking outside and I didn't see the geese. And I thought, well, they're probably just nesting somewhere. I don't know if they even had a nest here. I suppose they did because they were here all the time. But I looked for them and looked for them and not there, not there, not there. And then finally I don't know, it just hit me that they probably were not going to come back. I don't know if they have another place. I don't know a whole lot about their migratory patterns. So I need to do some research on migratory patterns and how many, quote, homes they have. So it's just really interesting to study them, especially when you've actually seen them and had them in your yard. And I was starting to miss them like crazy. And I didn't realize that I would miss them so much. And I'll look outside and they're not there and I don't see them there now. And the yard and the lake just feel empty right now. So I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself because I didn't have my geese here. And so I comforted myself by watching cute animal videos on YouTube. And so, you do what you have to, right? So that's my goose saga. And I do hold out the hope that they will come back at some point. I mean, they may not come back until next summer. I don't know. But they've come back every year. So I have no reason at this point not to think that they wouldn't come back. And maybe when they come back again, they will have more babies. So we'll see. They were so cute to watch. And it was really interesting how, when I noticed when they were swimming on the lake, that one of the parents was always in the front. The other parent was always in the back and the babies were in the middle. And I know that's a protection kind of thing. And they did that when they were on land too. They always stayed together. I never saw them apart. All 4 of them all stayed together. And there were, we have some problems with some of the vultures around here. And I know we live on a wooded property and animals are going to die. It's just the cycle of life. And when they die, here come the vultures. And I normally don't mind the vultures because even though they're ugly and I can't stand the noises they make, they serve a purpose. They are federally protected for a reason. They clean up all the stuff we don't want to have to mess with, and they help prevent diseases from spreading and that kind of thing. So that's why you're not supposed to kill them. But they've been wanting to land on the roof, and they wanted to roost on the roof. And I have read all the different things you can do to get the vultures to quit roosting on your roof. We haven't really tried any of them yet, except for me making loud noises in the morning to get them off the roof, because I'm afraid they're going to tear up the shingles. I don't mind them roosting in the trees, and they can, you know, sit on the property all they want to if they want to eat stuff or whatever, you know. But I don't know. I just, they irritate me. But I think one of the smaller ones was messing with the geese, and they were not having it. Boy, I mean, they flapped their wings and went after them. So, you know, they stick together for protection. But then I noticed one day that all the geese were down. We've got a tree that's very close to the lake, and I think something must have died. Because the vultures a big group was just crowded around the tree, and I thought, oh, great. And then the geese were right there in the middle of it. And it was like they were not bothered at all. And so, like, okay, that's weird, but okay. But living out here, you know, I was never a city girl. Okay, I'm not someone who's come from like Covington or Lexington or any place like that. And I've been to New York City. My husband's from New York City. I've been there. They're okay to visit. I just wouldn't want to live there because that's just not me. But we were close to town for a while. So, I mean, I was pretty close to amenities, which was a real treat for me when we got married, because I was not used to that. I was always used to having to drive to go anywhere. You want to go to a restaurant? Well, you're going to drive for 30 minutes. You know, you want to go shopping for clothes and stuff, you're going to drive for 30 minutes. And we just didn't even think about it. And so then we lived in town for about 13 years or so, something like that. And then when we moved out here, I had to get adjusted again to life out away from town a little bit. But it's been really interesting because I've never lived on a property as large as this. We have 97 acres. Most of them are woods. The lake is about 8 to 10 acres, and it's not a round lake. It's a very long lake. So it's been interesting getting used to being around all of this stuff and the wildlife that we see all the time. I mean, we have geese, we've had, of course, rabbits, deer, turkey, and here lately I've been seeing at least one baby fox. So it's just been interesting to watch them in their natural habitat, and the house doesn't bother them, of course, and they just walk around it like it's just, you know, well, this thing's in our way, but we'll just walk around it. But that has been a real treat to be able to watch the wildlife. I've really enjoyed that. So, it does make me curious, like for all of you, I always wonder, you know, I'm sure some of you live in the countryside. I'm sure some of you are sitting in an apartment complex in the city right now. But it's just interesting how very different parts of the country can be. I was reading an article about advice that Americans give to foreigners, and one of the things that comes up all the time is that foreigners do not have a good concept of just how large our country is. And if you are someone outside of the U.S. listening to this, then you want to take this piece of advice. Our country is huge. I mean, it is huge. And it seems like a lot of foreign people, when they come here, they think that they can go to various places in the country within hours. And you can drive for hours and still be in the same state. And we have 50 of those things, okay? 2 of them are not even contiguous. So you just, you want to have maps, and you want to keep in mind that if you are in New York City visiting, and you are planning on driving, and you only have a week to travel, you are not going to be going to California. Not going to happen. You cannot get there in 10 hours. Like I said, with my state, and I'm in the central part of the state, and just to get to either eastern or western Kentucky, so in the same state, it takes me at least 3 hours. Okay, so that's nonstop driving, 3 hours. So just to give you some perspective. So typically, if you're wanting to travel in the States, it's best to, if you're not flying, if you're going to drive, then you need to focus on, I would say, one state, and I would travel around that state, and then maybe on another visit, you can go somewhere else. If you really, really want to see different parts of the country, it's better to fly. And you're still not going to see everything if you've only got a week to travel. It's just not going to happen. Country's too big. So, it's not like with European countries, those countries are small. I mean, my husband and I went on a trip to Ireland, and we were there for a week, and we went around the entire island. I mean, that was our goal. We just drove around the whole island, just stopping and staying at bed and breakfast places as we went. And it was awesome. But you can't do stuff like that in the States. It's not going to happen. We have some awesome things in the States, but you just, like any smart traveler would do your research first. And even if you're living in the States, do your research first, because different parts of our country have different ways of doing things, different expectations. And so if I'm going to travel somewhere, I always try to look that place up and just, check out the population, if there are any unwritten rules. And when I get there, I don't hesitate to ask locals about, where is the best place to eat that's not a chain restaurant? What do I need to be looking out for? Just for an example, and then we'll shut this down here shortly because we're at 31 minutes. My aunt and I had gone to Louisiana. Specifically, we were going to St. Francisville because St. Francisville has several antebellum homes. And I'm into Civil War stuff, and she really enjoys that stuff as well. So when we were there, we were talking to the lady at the bed and breakfast where we were staying. And she said, because we told her we were thinking about going into New Orleans, and we were also thinking about going into Baton Rouge because we wanted to see both of those places, and asked her about that and just some advice. And she said, when you go to Baton Rouge, she said, if you decide you do want to go, make sure you go during the day. She said, once it starts getting dusk, you need to be leaving. And so we knew exactly what she was talking about when she said that. And so we took that to heart. And she said, let's see, she said something about how New Orleans actually was a better use of our time than Baton Rouge. And if you're from Baton Rouge, please, no offense here, but I think she just said that, I forgot all the details she said about Baton Rouge, but I think she was more inclined for us to, if we're going to do touristy stuff, to go see New Orleans, that would be a better bet for us, time-wise, especially. So we ended up not going to Baton Rouge just because we didn't have time to do that. So we did go to New Orleans, and we were, let's see, we went down to, you know, where Mardi Gras held. So we went down there, and we ate at a restaurant there. We didn't get to spend a lot of time there, but it was really neat seeing the sights down there. And, you know, there are always certain places you should never go. You know, you've got the danger spots, and that's in any town. Any town's going to have that. I mean, if somebody's wanting to visit Louisville, I can tell you right now where you don't need to go. You know, that kind of thing. But we ventured down there a little bit, and we just kept our eyes and ears open, and we didn't try to court danger or anything like that. But that was fun. But, you know, just things like that. You just want to do your research and just travel smartly. And that way you can ensure that you have a good time and that you're staying safe while you do that. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I got a little bit done, didn't I? You know, I was stitching a little bit faster than I thought I would. So, and that's fast for me, the way I was stitching now. So that wasn't too bad for 30 minutes. I know a lot of you probably stitch a whole lot faster than that, and use the sewing method. I don't use the sewing method and stitch in hand. So some of you may stitch a lot faster that way, but I like my hoops. I did like my Q-snaps until I kind of hurt myself with one. So the Q-snaps were getting a little bit heavy for me to hold the way that I need to really hold them. So I don't know. We'll see. I may try the Q-snaps again because I really like them. But anyway, I'm starting to jabber now. So I will stop here, and I hope that you enjoyed our little short conversation stitching together. I enjoyed stitching with you today. So I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your stitching day. Be creative, be blessed, and I'll see you later. Bye.